I'm sorry, I still don't like pineapples on pizza. Welcome back. I'm Nicholas Alexander Burke, and this week I'm back. Seductive type beat with a fresh cut. And let's talk Stranger Things 4. The Duffer Brothers are back with Netflix to bring us the 4th season of the series that started all the way back in 2016. Stranger Things 4, Stranger Things Season 4, whatever you want to call it, has returned to us almost 2 years after the last season. Is the hype real? Yes. Does it live up to the hype? This video is a recap of Season 4, all of it, episodes 1 through 9, the entire thing. So it goes without saying that we're talking heavy, major spoilers. My quick spoiler-free thoughts are, this is some of the best television I have seen in the last 2 years. It is one of the best forms of media I have seen this year, regardless of film or TV. And if you've been subscribed to me, then you know we've had some pretty good movies and TV shows that have came out this year. Knowing that the next season of this, season 5, will be the last season in this story makes me really sad because this show is so good. So if you haven't watched it yet, do yourself a favor and go watch this on Netflix. This is not an ad, but it could be. And then come back here so we can talk about it. So, spoilers. This is the only show that I will let the opening intro run every single time I watch an episode. It's classic. It takes you back home. It reminds you that this series has been around long enough for you as a viewer to have experienced important moments in your own life. Season 1 of this show was so solid. And then you get season 2 and then season 3, and you're growing up with these kids. Season 3 will always have a special place in my heart because it was the first form of entertainment media I watched that I cried while watching. This show has an ensemble cast in which most of the characters are our main characters, and the Duffer Brothers do an amazing job of juggling all of that. And for the most part, they all get developed pretty well, except for Will Byers. And I wanted more out of him and what he was going through and dealing with. And I'm not mad he doesn't come out. I mean, come on, it's the 80s. Nobody just came out back then. There were some other reasons I had an issue with the underutilization of that character, but I will get into that a little bit later. Netflix gave this show $30 million an episode. $30 million an episode. That's a $270 million budget for this series, not including the cost of marketing, and it shows. The Duffy boys got a check. This season looks the best.
It's really cinematic with the shots and its effects.
We start this season off thinking that Eleven murdered all these children, but of course we learn that it was one, or Vecna, or Henry. You know you're a really cool villain when you have at least 3 names. As you know, they released the first 7 episodes first, so let's get into some of the highlights from that. Seeing Eleven getting bullied the way she was so sad and frustrating because I couldn't do nothing to save this fictional character. So when she takes the roller skate and gives Shorty the Eggo special, it was so satisfying. And speaking of a beatdown, watching Hopper have that other prisoner beat on that lock around his ankle, essentially breaking or somewhat dismembering his ankle and foot, was intense and very uncomfortable to watch, which is another thing that this show does well, is making you feel uncomfortable. You're sad, you're mad, you're anxious, and so are the characters that you're watching. One of which is Max. Season 3 had her brother Billy possessed, and he ultimately gives his life to save her and her friends in the mall. She goes to Billy's grave, and in this scene she reveals a lot of truths about herself, a lot of human emotion at this, and you're learning a lot more about Max, and then she gets possessed. Watching Max having to escape like this, I was on the edge of my couch rooting for her. And part of what makes Stranger Things so good this season is that they go there. From all those kids at the beginning to episode 9 when Max's limbs are snapping, I couldn't believe what was happening. I was screaming. I couldn't believe that Lucas was watching and Max briefly dies in his arms, and Lucas is helpless, and you feel that. I mean, he calls out to Erica, his little sister, in this moment. Wow. And if this series wasn't already movie quality by now, episode 8 and 9, it goes there. I can't even put it in words. I mean, episode 9 is literally a 2-hour movie to conclude this season. Episode 8 shows us 11 going crazy, going ham. Nick Fury and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. storm Hydra. I mean, the government storms the base that Papa is at. Papa and 11 make it out, and of course Papa is shot. And before 11 leaves with her friends who found her, we have this great scene of her really utilizing her powers and realizing how powerful she is. And she takes out that helicopter and this most cinematic explosion, posing in like Power Rangers in front of the explosion. It was epic. You see it in her face that she knows she's the now, or she's the again. And in this breakout scene, all the actors are given it. They're all, even the extras. There's a one actor with a fully automatic weapon. He's firing it, and the camera is slowly pushing in on him, and you see the intensity in his face. Like, he knows that, it's do or die for him. And I don't even know. Cinematic, movie level quality. And then I go turn on Disney Plus and see Hawkeye stuck in a Christmas tree for most of it. Like, what the Sorry. The relationship between Papa and 11 is depicted in a very creepy yet accurate way that shows abusive relationships. Papa obviously thinks that he's doing the right thing by keeping Elle there, but it's wrong. But the show also illustrates that Papa truly cares about these kids. No matter how creepy he can be and how his ways are not right, he does care about them. It's this gray area, and it's not just for him, but it's a gray area for most of the characters in it. You don't really have characters that are 100% good or 100% bad. All of these characters have motives that were shaped by their experience, and you get these incredible nuance with these people, and it's brilliant. Stranger Things 4 does so many things right. Then when you have plot points that don't really make sense, you don't give a damn. For example, how does Eddie and Dustin find a guitar in the Upside Down that is perfect? It's not touched by any of the tentacles. It's not dirty. Not only do they find that, they have a concert on top of the roof in a dimension that has been depicted with no electricity outside of you being able to interact with electricity in the regular world. The Upside Down itself doesn't have any power, honestly, but it is what it is, and it's freaking glorious. And later on, Eddie then lures the bats away, and he's on his bike and he's riding, and he remembers that he ran last time, and this time he wants to make a difference. And he takes his shield on like some Captain America, Wonder Woman type, and he holds it up as the bats are ramming into it. And then they start circling around him, and he has the spear and he's stabbing him, and then lightning is striking in the background, and you have these incredible shots. And then he dies, and Dustin's on. And a very emotional scene. Eddie calls back to him not running away this time, and how this is going to be his year. He's going to graduate. And I was just like, oh my God. Man, he gave his life protecting a city that thinks he's a killer. It's almost like he has to die, because if he returned back, he could never truly live in Hawkins, because everybody thinks that he's the murderer. Amazing storytelling is what it is. ST4 does a lot of things right, but can improve on some other things. Will is gay, and this is actually hinted at in a previous season kind of cleverly, but in this one it's more apparent, and he struggles to tell Mike about it, and ultimately does not. You get this great scene in the car where Will is talking to Mike about Elle's perspective. She could feel like she doesn't belong or doesn't fit in or feels like a mistake. Will is also describing himself in this scene, and it's very emotional. And he gives this speech to Mike about it, and then he turns and then looks out the window and silently cries into his hand. Emotional. I was hurting for this guy. And although Will was the first real character that got sucked into the Upside Down and was taken advantage of, he consistently has the least to do amongst all these seasons. And don't get me wrong, what he's portraying, how he's acting, how he's struggling with certain things. He is depicting a very real reality that gay people face. And he doesn't feel like he can even tell his closest friend, let alone everybody else, what his sexuality is and the consequences that come with that. So I respect the Duffer Brothers for including this in the story, but I don't think it was utilized to the best of its ability. I highlighted earlier that this show has a lot of great nuance, but I don't think it works the same when it comes to Will. We aren't quite sure if Will likes Mike or if Will just misses Mike being his close friend or both. And like I said, I'm not expecting Will to just come out about it because of it, just not even just during that time period, but period today. That's a very hard thing to do, and I understand that. But nothing is done with this that is significant for their friendship. And those two guys who in season 1 started out as best friends. It worries me about Will's arc in this next season, season 5, because season 5 is supposed to be the last season. I feel like all the rest of the characters at some point in these 4 seasons, they've all had their chance to shine, and I just don't see that with Will yet. Fingers crossed that he takes a more prominent role in season 5. I can easily go on and on about the other characters and how side characters from previous seasons step up in this one, but then I'll be talking for hours. So let's wrap it up. The MVP award this time is split between Max and Erica. Yes, Max was willing to risk her life as bait so that her friends could ambush Vecna, but Erica came in clutch multiple times throughout this season, like throughout the season. My final thoughts are that Stranger Things 4 is incredible. It delivers on so many fronts while juggling so many people and plot lines that it's unbelievable it's able to pull it off as well as it pulls it off. And I'm gonna give it 9.6 Nicks out of 10. There are a few things like the underutilization of Will that is stopping me from giving it like the full 10 that I really want to give it. But damn, this show is good. And I like that this show is marketed as Stranger Things 4 and not so much Stranger Things Season 4, because these are grand movies. These seasons are epic in scope, and I feel like the directors are treating this more so as a movie that just is segmented into many parts rather than just a series. If I rank the seasons in order of how much I like them, then I definitely put Stranger Things 4 at the top, followed by 3, then 1, then 2. Originally, the plan was to review this episode by episode, but life was like, no. So we'll try next time for season 5. So did you like it? What are some things you wanted me to talk about that I didn't? Let's talk about them in the comments. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Please hit that notification bell. It goes a long way. This week, look out for my Obi-Wan review, Miss Marvel episode 4 and 5 recaps, and my Thor Love and Thunder review. And as always, thanks for watching.